Sliding in Call of Duty, Black Ops 6 isn't just another movement mechanic. It's a major shift in the game's combat that stirred up some serious controversy among players. The addition of Omnimovement has caused a huge rift, with many hardcore fans saying this isn't just a gameplay tweak, but a complete teardown of everything that made Call of Duty a staple in competitive first-person shooters. The origins of this controversy lie in the drastic overhaul of player movement. Past Call of Duty games stuck to a pretty predictable system that rewarded precision and tactical positioning. Omnimovement flips that on its head, adding a level of mobility that feels completely foreign to longtime fans. Now players can slide in any direction, forward, backward, sideways, leading to combat situations that seem to break the rules of both physics and tactical sense. Deep dives into community forums show just how frustrated players are. Veteran players who've poured thousands of hours into mastering their gameplay now find themselves outplayed in what they call movement cheese. Sliding rapidly, switching directions mid-slide, and staying combat ready have turned gunfights from skill-based matchups into what many are calling random movement roulette. The way Omnimovement works is a big part of the controversy. Players can pull off advanced movement combos that weren't even possible before. You can tactical sprint, instantly slide, change direction mid-slide, and then dolphin dive, all without losing the ability to shoot accurately. This kind of mobility messes with the classic map design and engagement rules that have been the backbone of Call of Duty for years. Competitive players are making their frustrations loud and clear. Tournament organizers and pros argue that Omnimovement has made it nearly impossible to maintain competitive fairness. With movement being so unpredictable, years of carefully crafted strategies are suddenly useless. A perfectly lined up shot can be dodged by a player sliding at unreal speeds, adding an element of randomness that's at odds with skill-based play. The emotional toll on the community is massive. Longtime fans feel betrayed, claiming that Treyarch has chosen flashy gimmicks over solid gameplay. Online discussions are packed with players venting that Omnimovement shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes Call of Duty great. The series has always been about tight, precise gunplay, not over-the-top movement that makes matches feel like chaotic dance-offs. Map design has become a particularly hot topic. The maps in Black Ops 6 clearly weren't built for such extreme movement. Tight corridors, strategic cover spots, and traditional sight lines are now almost useless, thanks to the ability to slide and move in ways never seen before. What used to be carefully planned tactical positions now feel pointless with the new movement system. The settings suggested by the developers, like setting slide, dive behavior to hybrid, and keeping sprint active during slides, come off as weak fixes for a much bigger issue. Players argue these tweaks don't solve the root problem. The movement system itself is fundamentally broken and clashes with the basics of competitive first-person shooters. Generational divides are becoming more obvious. Younger players and content creators seem to love the new movement, showing off viral clips and crazy highlight reels of impossible slides and absurd movement chains. But the serious competitive community sees it as a complete betrayal of the franchise's competitive roots. The financial impact is no joke either. Some players are threatening to boycott the game, with others already asking for refunds or refusing to buy future Call of Duty titles. Competitive teams are scrambling to adjust, with a few even thinking about dropping the game from their tournament lineups, a decision that could seriously hurt the game's esports scene. Gaming experts have pointed out technical problems caused by Omnimovement. The unpredictable, fast-paced movement makes it harder for servers to track player positions accurately, which could add even more randomness to the game. The technical complexity behind Omnimovement exposes deeper flaws in the game's design. Every movement option, from tactical sprinting to dolphin diving, has been reworked to feel smoother. But that smoothness comes at a steep price. Pro players have analyzed frame-by-frame gameplay to show how the new system creates tiny timing advantages that can decide the outcome of a fight. Social media is full of comparisons to other games that tried similar systems. Players are drawing parallels to games like Titanfall and Advanced Warfare, saying Black Ops 6 is making the same mistakes by focusing on flashy moves instead of solid tactical gameplay. Hardcore players widely believe that Treyarch has completely missed the mark on what makes Call of Duty special. Some players are already coming up with counter strategies, sharing guides and tutorials to lessen the impact of Omnimovement. These community efforts include loadout tips and map positioning tricks to deal with extreme movement exploits. It's unclear what the developers' true intentions are. While some sources support a very careful implementation from the development team, like limiting tactical sprint duration and offering more movement options, many players see these as half-hearted compromises. The main problem, they say, isn't the details but the whole concept behind the movement system. Personal testimonials from top top-tier players paint a grim picture. Carlos TP Ruiz, a well-known Call of Duty pro, called the system fundamentally broken. During a recent stream, he showed how a player can slide faster than aiming can keep up, turning it into what he dubbed a movement-based hit detection lottery. Other pros have shared similar frustrations, with many arguing that the skill ceiling has taken a nosedive. Research on player motivation adds some interesting context to the Omnimovement drama. Gaming psychologists say players thrive on a sense of mastery and predictability. The new movement system messes with that basic psychological promise, replacing it with randomness that feels deeply unfair. Gamers want to believe their deaths come down to skill, not some chaotic movement mechanic. The global player base has a range of opinions. European players tend to be harsher, leaning into tactical gameplay, while North American players are a bit more divided. Competitive scenes across regions are reacting differently, with some tournaments already using custom rules to tone down the worst Omnimovement exploits. As the debate keeps heating up, one thing is obvious. Omnimovement hasn't just changed movement, it's split the Call of Duty player base. What used to be a united community is now fractured, with fiery arguments on all sides. Streaming platforms have turned into battlegrounds for the Omnimovement debate. Popular creators are divided too. Some are blowing up with viral clips of absurd movement chains, while others post long, detailed critiques of the system. This split has created a non-stop content cycle, keeping the controversy alive and kicking. Game design schools have even started using Black Ops 6's Omnimovement as a case study for controversial game mechanics. Professors point to it as an example of how good intentions can backfire and mess with the player experience. Students often debate how tricky it is to balance fresh ideas with sticking to the core of what makes a game work. Whether Omnimovement is a bold leap forward or a huge mistake is still up for debate. But one thing's for sure, Black Ops 6 has shaken up the competitive FPS world forever, for better, or as many believe, for worse. The big question now is whether the game can bounce back from this. Will Treyarch listen to the community and make the changes players want, or is the damage permanent? Time will tell, but for now, Call of Duty community is more divided than ever, with Omnimovement smack in the middle of one of the franchise's biggest controversies. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more related content shown on screen.